All right. So today we're taking a look at the higher self. This is a requested topic. Granular 22 were my random word and number that was coming out. So the question is basically, what is the nature of the connection between us and our higher selves? Like, are the higher selves really looking out for us, trying to have the best for us, or is it more like they are controlling us and it's more of like a puppet and puppet master sort of thing? And let's just see the nature of the connection between the person and the higher self. Okay, reverse Six of Cups over Judgment. Well, what I see here, the Judgment card might be showing sort of the higher selves judgment of us. Here the angel of judgment is blowing the trumpet, right? And then the people are like, "Oh my God, just think of all the things that I've done," and they're like pleading and full of regret and all of that. Now this could be the material world version, and this could be the higher self. In which case, now if this is true, our higher selves are the ones that judge us. So, instead of us being judged versus some higher being that isn't our higher self, like some other god or something, this is showing that our higher selves are the ones that judge us. So we're basically being judged by ourselves. And here, the Six of Cups reversed. So this is memory and it's kind of retelling an old story. When the Six shows up reversed, this is like trying to look forward to create new stories. So if you look at these two, we would kind of be judged on the degree to which we relive old stories and how much we kind of move forward into new territory. And this would basically show the higher self as the thing that judges us. Now, all right, guidance. Let's say guidance from the higher self. So, is the higher self trying to guide us to a place where we don't get judged harshly? Or is it just, judging us harshly no matter what, as far as the guidance goes? So we get an Eight of Wands. Now, this is the thing that's really sticking out to me in this, and it's the message that's coming from the crow. So the guidance is going to happen in bursts, in quick moments, because this is an Eight of Wands. And it will come in messages, but this might be literally messages through animals or whatever. I mean, in my personal experience, my messages from what I think is my higher self, they usually come in feelings, in like body feelings, or I get them in dreams, something like that. But here it would show that the messages from the higher self are being sent. Now, let's just look at the amount of control that the higher self has over the material person, right? So, what is the degree of control, if there is any at all? And we have two that want to come out here. The Hermit and the Five of Pentacles. Now, in both of these, the figure is really alone and the figure is naked, right? So one thing this is saying to me is that we can't hide anything, like the higher self sort of sees our naked truth. Now here you have the naked figure wandering around, and then here's the eyeball judging from the church. Um, this says to me that there is no control. Like the higher self does not control us on Earth, but it sees everything. And I mean, there's something about the hermit because the hermit is about going inward, right? The hermit is like, fuck everything else in the world, and this is like really trying to understand what's happening on the inside. And this is probably the key. Now, hold on. I want to find out to what degree we are a representation of our higher self, right? Because this would show that there's not really control that is happening. But how close are we to the higher self? Like, are we a direct representation like a child would be of a person? Or is it more like a Skyrim character in a video game where you can make whatever the hell you want? We get a Three of Swords. And the Three of Swords is about old heartbreak and betrayal. Now, this would kind of go back here, where it's about having new experiences instead of repeating old ones. But as far as the degree to which we are a representation of our higher selves, a Three of Swords, because it's minor arcana, this means that the degree probably isn't huge. But this would also sort of, well, now I'm seeing the shadow back here. So this might be closer to the truth. Like, if this is the higher self, and this is the higher self's trauma or pain or disappointment, then this is us, the shadow. You know, we're like a shadow of the higher self, but maybe more specifically, a shadow of the higher self's suffering, if that makes any sense at all. So now, when we look at this, if we are a representation of the higher selves suffering and betrayal and heartbreak, and we are kind of like a shadow to this thing, um, this would say the fact that this is showing up as a shadow, it says that we are not necessarily a creation of the higher self, that we are a side effect of the higher self. Like if there's a thing and there's light, there's going to be a shadow. I'm not trying to create a shadow when I walk around outside during the daytime. It just happens. And I think we are a shadow of the higher self in kind of the same way. Um, so going back, if we are the shadow of the suffering of the higher self, um, this would make more sense because we would then be connected. Um, it would make sense that the higher self would want us to be having new experiences instead of getting caught up on the old shit that we are kind of a side effect of anyway. Now, this is also saying um, there's no direct control. And as far as a lot of this goes, we would be on our own. But I think maybe the most important thing here is in the Hermit, and that is going within, trying to understand truly what we are as opposed to what anyone else is. Because each higher self, I guess, would cast a different shadow. So it doesn't matter what someone else is going through. That doesn't mean that that's what we're going through or made of or whatever, you know? Okay, let's see. Is this an infinite loop? Um, or is it different than that? So the card that spits out Four of Pentacles. Is it an infinite loop? Here the person is about to go through the portal. And there is the demon, right, who is about to lead them through. And they're afraid to move forward. Because they're afraid of letting go of some things. So as far as is this an infinite loop or not, this would show the potential for being stuck because of fear of letting go. Now, the thing is, once the miser moves forward through this portal, that's not the end either. So, but the loop part, that would show up here. So whether, you get stuck in an infinite loop, it depends on your ability to let go of things. And there is a big difference between the Hermit and the miser in the Four, because the miser's got the fancy robes, he's clinging onto the pentacles, he's like, oh my god, I don't want to lose all this stuff. Because this is actually what he becomes when he goes through the portal. He becomes, the naked version of himself with none of the shit that he holds on to. So, as far as getting stuck in infinite loops with your higher self and going through the same shit, it depends on your ability to let go. And it looks like there isn't necessarily control coming from the higher self. There might be some messages, but those are two different things. Like, you can email someone a command, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna fucking do it, All right, so that is what we get here. One more card just fell on the floor. Let's see what we got. It's the Empress. It was the Empress reverse, but it fell on the floor. So with the Empress coming out, this is about being really receptive and creating, right? The fertile womb. So this might just be, one of my higher self messages that is coming to me. And it's in order not to get trapped and like not to be judged harshly by the higher self, try to create with what is around you and try not to hold on to shit, because that could create a loop. And it's almost like we're trying to cleanse suffering from a being on another dimension, in another dimension, some greater being. Like we're some weird side effect of this greater being's hurt. And we kind of have to cleanse that. And there's some guidance sometimes, some messages, but they can't do the work for us. And it looks like if we don't do the work, then we just have to do it again. So that's what we get. I would love to hear what you think about this. And if you have any, requests for spirit or alien type readings, feel free to let me know. Peace.